Hello everyone. Happy New Year. Today in this video, I'm going to teach or give you the tutorial how to work with the DotMatt number 5. So before we proceed to anything else, make it sure your DotMatt is clean, very clean. To create this kind of a pearl or whatever you want to make, with any color it's possible. And it's very strong because I use the high build adhesive and it's very strong. I ship it all over the world and it's survived. But before I proceed to the paint, first I'm going to give the highlight. For some of you who still don't know how to make a cone, we can just use these plastics. I used to use the cheap bags, but I'm stopped eating cheap anymore because I'm so fat. But now, okay, let's just cut the plastic and just roll it like this. If you want to know the detail, the very slow version, I also have how to make cone in my YouTube or my Instagram, IGTV. It's just very simple, it's just like this. Because I think it's a very handy way to fill the little hole there to make dots when we are using this. Because if we are going to use the bottle or from the tube, I don't know how. I don't even want to imagine that. So I just secure it with a big tape to make it sure the paint is not leaking while in the progress. It's very annoying. It's just a few seconds for me, but for you I think you need to practice. So we're going to make the gold for my next class, this Kai, and I'm using Resin Deep Fine. Any golden metallic will work with this, so don't worry about paint consistency. You just have to use it straight from the bottle. Okay, now let's begin. Just like so. Just make it sure the paint loaded very slowly because I don't want bubble. Really bubble is really trouble, because when we have bubble it will create the hole in the dot and I don't want to use that. So to make sure we don't waste any paint, just try to minimize the bubble and cut the tip. And make it sure again all the hole there very clean. Just wipe it if you have a little dust because it will be stick in our dot. So I'm just start from the big one and look carefully how I refill them. It has to be very full to avoid the cuppy or the curvy things. And because in this row is very thick and deep, it will take I think 48 hours to dry. But the small one, 24 hours will be just fine. So I think if you want to create something you have in mind, you better prepare your mold dot a day before or 2 days before. That's what I'm doing. So just like that, make it sure everything full and try to avoid bubble. Okay, let's move on. Now I'm going to use Martha Stewart. Can you imagine if we don't learn how to use cone? We just have to put it or from the tube. Oh, it makes me crazy. But if we learn how to use this cone, refilling will be so much easier. And it also great applicator to make line, tiny dots, with the very easy way and saving a lot of time. Now I'm speeding the video a little bit because the process is just the same. Just make it sure everything above the surface, okay, and avoid bubble. There we go. Now let's move on to the pearl iridescent fine. This is one of my favorite, gold and pearl and silver, classic. And just do so. When you pinch it continuously. Do not pinch it again, pinch it again, pinch it again, because when you release your pinch, it will give the air and air will give you the bubbles. We don't want that. Okay, so just make it so steady, just steady, keep pressing it, keep pressing it, keep pressing it. So with the liquid, I put the full surface because it will be sink down when it's dry. Okay. Let's move on to the color shift from folk art. It's such a beautiful color. The reason I'm making this video is because a lot of you still asking me how to work with the DotMatt. Actually, it's very easy, but first you must know how to make a cone. It's for your own sake, for your own good. So do you still remember the tricks how to load them? Just pinch it straight. Do not pinch it on and off because it will give you bubbles, and we don't want that. The next one, I'm going to use Cadence Hybrid Metallic, and I'm using it from straight from the bottle, and I did not recommend this. I repeat, I did not recommend this because it will create peak in the end, and it's very hard for us to attach it to the rock later. Like what you can see the peak there, and it will going to dry as is, so it will very difficult for me or for us to attach it to the rock later. So I'm still using the same Cadence Hybrid Metallic, but this time I'm going to mix it with the gloss varnish to lighten the texture, to make it more like liquid, and just mix it very slowly and gently, because if you rush it, mixing it very fast, it will create a lot of bubbles and it will create holes in our dot later. So just take your time until it's very well mixed. Did you notice the difference? After mixing with the gloss medium, the texture will be more like watery, and it gives us a very flat surface without peak. Okay, we're done with the metallic one. Now we're going to use a teal straight from the bottle. Oh, it's still new. Okay, let me open it for us. I'm using it straight from the bottle without mixing anything, but so far, from my experience, it worked fine. Let's just find out again. When you finish filling, this is the advantage of the cone. You can always return it back to the bottle, so there is no paint wasted. Now I'm going to try Amsterdam series. I hardly use it because it's very slow to dry, and I have to mix it with a medium, otherwise it will give you a pig again. I put a little bit too much paint, so I have to put more and more and more gloss until it become like watery. And in real life, I mix it in very slow motion because I don't want bubbles. We try to avoid that. The next one is silver from golden. It used to be my favorite, but nowadays I didn't create any piece that using this color. But I think it's still best option for DotMatt if you love silver. It will create a very smooth silver. The next one is silver from Hybrid Dora. This one is very beautiful silver, and I just mix with a little bit water to lighten the texture because it's very thick. So I'll just use the water near to me, just like that. Remember, when we mix it, do it very slowly. If you still see any bubbles somewhere, just pinch it with a toothpick before it's dry. The next one is I'm going to use a resin. My brand is Mastercast, and it's 50 versus 50 resin and hardener. In the Netherlands, now it's very cold, so I just mix it with I mix them in the hot water. I'm using this method every time I want to use resin because it's really reduces the bubbles. And then I divide it into several containers. Depends what you want to create. This time I'm going to use glitters. The glitters I'm using is very fine glitters. I get it from Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. The quantity of the glitters is depend on your resin. Usually I only put 1 or 2 scoops, but this time my resin is a little bit too much, so I just go with flow. and I start filling them, and it's very easy because the resin will going to flat itself, unlike the paint. So when you do the resin, make it sure it's very flat, not like the paint. I'm still using the same resin, and I'm going to pigment it with the red from golden. Just 1 drop, do not put much, 1 drop is enough. Just look carefully how I feel it. It's different when I feel the paint. The paint, I make it overflow, while the resin is very flat because the resin will not sink. Yeah, wherever you put it, stay that way. So make it sure it's very nice, flat, and not bumpy. Still, I'm using the same resin. I divided into 3. Now I'm going to use the chunky glitters. This is a little bit big than the first one that we make. I don't know which one is look better because every individual have different taste. So let's just, do a little bit here and there. I remind you again, do not fill it too full. The next one, I'm going to use the Resin High Build. It's cloudy. It's very good for making gems, but for DotMatt, I don't think this is the best option. You will see what I mean. I have no idea why my camera getting blurry, but I think you still can see what I'm doing. Part A and B 50-50. And every time you scoop, make it sure you don't mix up with the wooden stick, okay? Otherwise, your resin will be, getting hard here and there. Make it sure, change the stick. This is how I make my adhesive to attach the mold dot into a rock. So this is my adhesive. I just mix it like this and rest it for 15 to 20 minutes until it's get tacky. So I can just use it as glue. Okay. For the DotMatt, I don't really recommend this because I don't know, I don't like the end part. I'm just making this video just for you to have idea what will we get if we mix this one. It's not bad, but it's not good either for me. But you still can do it, of course. It's not really bad. I just have my, standard. So after I put it with the green glitters, green fine glitters, we will see what happens later. Since this resin high build very fast dry, I don't want to risk or waste my resin, so I just put yellow to pigment it and then put it in the DotMatt together later. If you look carefully on the upper part, which is the bottom of the dot, it like how do you say that? It's not flat. It's more like a bumpy. I don't know how you call that. If you know how it called, please let me know. Educate me, my friend. So it's more like I really don't know what to say. What to call that? With the green one, it's a little bit okay. I don't know why, but it's okay. It's really, really flat. I like it. and then we'll just see what happened when they dry later. Okay? So this is the last. I'm going to use pearl, and you can always pigment it with any golden color you want. This way you can create any color you want, but it, of course, since it's pearl, it will be like a glazy or like pearly. That's why it's called pearl, you know. So for example, you want to mix it with green, with the blue, it will like a sort of metallic or something. "24 hours later." Now let's check it out, the gold one. I think it's still wet. Yes. So I think, no, I'm positive that for the biggest row, we need at least 48 hours. The small one is okay, it's doing just fine. And these are my favorite size for all season. Look how pretty they are. It's little bit cuppy, but we can just fill it with the adhesive. And it's normal. Let's check the Martha Stewart. It also still wet, like you can see. And second one still a little bit wet, but it's doable. But it's wet, I can tell. And our favorite dot, yes, it's still a little bit wet, but we can already use it if we want. So we see that the golden is slow dry compared to this brand. It looks so pretty. Since our pearl still from golden, I think the bigger one still wet. Let's just check it out. Yep, it's still wet. And also still a little bit wet. But the small one is already dry. So the small one good for 20 hours. And the bigger one, I think we need double time. I think 48 hours or so. So yeah, the pearl is very sexy, but this one, the other dot is not deep one, it's already dry. So yeah, that is the one I use for that one is dry. Now let's check the color shift. Oh yeah, okay, it's still wet. They are actually the same, or about the same. And the second one is also, it's about the same with Martha Stewart. It's a little bit wet. But the rest, I can assure you, they're already pretty and dry. And this is what happened when we have bubble. But for me it's okay because I'm going to fill it with adhesive anyway. Now let's check our Cadence hybrid. First straight from the bottle, and the second one is we mix it with the gloss earlier. So we will see the difference. So this is the result when you use Cadence straight from the bottle. It will create peak at the back, so it will very difficult for us to attach to the rock later. Although on the main surface is very pretty, but on the back, no. And now let's compare it with the same paint, but we mix it with a gloss. Look at the back, they are very different. See? If you see the back, they are very flat or rather cuppy, so it's easier for us to attach to the rock. Did you see the difference now? Yes, I think you understand what I mean, right? Let's move on to the teal. So far with this teal, I have no problem at all. It's very easy, just straight from the bottle, and then you will get a very beautiful smooth dot. You see? If you want to create like a Native American gems, it's one of my favorite. But in this video, it's still not 100% dry, so it will be better. The small one, yes, it's dry, but the bigger one is not, still a little bit. So it's very pretty. The difference between this is the same size of dots, but the other one is very thick and the other one is flat. So usually I use both, but depends what I want to create. See, the flat one is faster to dry, of course. Now let's see what happened with the green one from Amsterdam mixed with gloss. I hardly doing this, but just in case you want to, you know, have the different color which you don't have in any other brand, you still can use it. In real life, it's a little bit rough with teeny tiny bubbles in it, so I don't like it personally, but it's not bad. Okay, I tell you it's not bad. It's just not very smooth as I expected. The small one is okay, so I think it has something to do with bubbles again, but they are not bad at all. Now let's check the Resin Silver fine from Golden. The big one, I suppose, okay, it's still not dry. The same with the rest of the Golden. And the second one, I think also still, yeah, still wet. So we just move on to the next one, the smaller one. The smaller one, it's just okay. Now this is the favorite size of mine. They're already pretty and ready to attach. So we all know by now that the small dots will take 24 hours and it's perfectly fine. Now I'm going to compare with Cadence Silver that we mixed it with water earlier. Let's see what happened. See, this kind of silver is more rich, more like a stainless, or more like metal. I don't know how to explain it, but if you just know in real life, you will see the richness. This is my new favorite now. And oh, look, the bigger one, it's already dry. That means Cadence is dry faster than the Golden. Yeah, like what you see, everything just fine. Even the bigger one, they already dry. Even here, see, it's already dry. Wow. Yes, see, like what you see, they already dry. But the silver, you can see the difference of the silver. The first one is from Golden and the second one is from Dora. So you can juggle the choices, but they are both pretty. only different beauty. Now let's check the glitter one, the one that we did with resin. I think this is the nicest one because the texture is very beautiful and it's very soft and it's very hard. Everything in this shape, I love it very much. I wish you could see how it sparkles in real life. It's very pretty. And just so on, it's still like what you see. It's very sparkling. And this one also with resin earlier that we pigmented with red. It also pretty. So it's very easy, right? And it more firm. Now let's check it out with the chunky glitters. It's not chunky, it's just a little bit bigger. It doesn't look bad at all, but I still prefer the first one. It looks pretty. No, I think I like it. It looks okay. Now let's compare the resin dot and the paint dot. The paint dot, when I pinch it, my nail is there. See? But it will be coming back eventually. Especially when we fill it with adhesive. But with resin, no matter how hard you pinch, it doesn't trace your nail there. You know what I mean? But it's still, the choice is yours, whatever you want. This Teal, when I pinch it like that, my nail there, but it will coming back. Especially when we feel the adhesive inside, so it doesn't matter. Now let's check with our resin high build. I don't think I like it. Look at the back, it doesn't appear flat. So I think we will having a problem to attach it to the rock. See, the surface is not flat. I don't know why and how it's not flat. I think during the application. But the other one with the normal resin, regular resin, is very flat, the red one. Although the surface is the same, but the back is not the same. Look at that. See, so fluffy at the back. So it will give us a problem to attach it later. So definitely not for the DotMatt. Okay, I think the resin high build and paint is not an option. But when I use a resin high build with the green glitters, it looks okay. So I cannot explain this. It's beyond my knowledge. I don't know why. We're using the same material, but it gives us the different outcome. Because with glitters, I have the flat, beautiful back. Although I still prefer the regular resin for glitters because it shines better. But still, if you don't want like sparkle, you still give this a shot. And finally our last pearl with magenta. I think it's going to be okay because I have tested it many times. Oh, look at this baby beautiful pink. For the pink lovers, you might want to try this. So after I explain how to make dots, now I'm giving you the example how to attach them to the rock. Just fillet the copy parts and then just attach it to the rock. Because when the adhesive getting hard, it will make our dot stronger. But I have another way that's very easy and fast. This is my favorite way. I just put some little dot there just to make sure the dots will fill the copy part if we have the like ball thing, if you know what I mean. See, it has to be fit on it. It's very easy. That is the trick. It's not only make our dot stronger, it also support our dot very strong attached to the rock. Same thing with the center dot. I'm just going to use this and put the adhesive there and just put it like that. That's it. And sometime before I attach the dot into rock, I put something under it. It's for variety, it's just optional, it's up to you. But this is how I do it anyway. I hope you find this tutorial helpful and giving you the idea what to do and what not to do. The rock I'm modeling is Sky. It's my new class. If you're interested, you can contact me on Instagram. I'll see you soon. Be safe.